You say you want me to pay taxes on 100 instead of $1? That doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, oh by the way, do you think taxes are gonna go up in the future or down in the future? What do you think? Is it, who else? Up? Anybody say down? They're gonna go up. I mean, let's be honest, right? If you look at some of the highest tax brackets in America in the early 70s, late 80s, or late 70s, early 80s, that's like, they're like 60, 70%. 7-0. And so taxes are gonna go up in the future. So does it make sense to put your money in a place where they say, don't pay taxes now, just pay it later when taxes are higher and you have more money? Does that make sense to you? No, absolutely not. Who does it make sense for, though? It makes sense for the government, that's for sure. So the next one is 59 and a half. Does anybody know what that is? What age is 59 and a half? Why is that special? What's it represent? Does anyone know? Say it loud, somebody yell it. Oh, maybe you get a better breakfast at Denny's or something. I don't know, but it's when you can draw money. It's when you can draw money. In these plans, they tell you you cannot draw money from these accounts until you are 59 and a half. By the way, that started at 52, moved to 57, moved to 59 and a half. Do you see a trend? Yeah, we don't get to vote on that, by the way. They just move it whenever they want. It's going to go to 65 in the future. I'm fairly confident of that. I don't know that for sure, but it's probably going to happen, right? So I don't like the fact that I have to have my money tied up until then. But if I say, you know what, I want to use my money. I don't care what they say. I want to use it. Guess what happens to me? I'm penalized. You know what the penalty is? 10%. Who said that? Great job. Dallas Cowboy fan. 10%, right? You think they're going to have a good season?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I hope so. I mean, I'm from New England, so we win all the time. So I hope that they have a good year too.
You're in Dallas.
Yeah, I know. What's crazy is my kids are Texans. My kids are, and in my mind, I grew up in New England, so I'm still like a lobster fisherman's kid from New England, and I expect my kids to be like, but my kids are Texans. And so they're watching Cowboys games, and I'm like, hey, change the channel, put on the Patriots, put the Patriots on, you know? Should be watching the Red Sox here, the Celtics. Come on, we educate you who Larry Bird was. Okay, here we go. So the penalty is 10% on top of your tax bracket. So if you're at a 30% tax bracket or a 40% tax or 39% tax bracket, and you got to pay a 10% penalty, 49% of your money is going to the government. How does that make you feel? I mean, it makes me feel nauseous, right? I don't want to throw up. What if you had 100 grand, or let's say $1 million? You had $1 million, and they took 490 grand from you. That's insane, right? So there's borrowing that you can take money out of these accounts if you need to borrow. But guess what? They charge you an interest rate. It's your own money. Now you say, I'd like to use my own money. They say, oh, okay, we'll just charge you 6%. I'm like, it's in my pocket. I want to use my own money. 6% charge. What they tell you is that they will give you that interest rate back if you pay it back, okay? But what happens if you get laid off, or you quit, or you get fired, or your company goes out of business? You have to pay all that money back within 30 days, and if you don't, they keep the interest, they tax you, and they penalize you. It's completely crazy. There's no liquidity. You can't use that money for anything really at all. 70 and a half is the age at which you're forced to take it out. You're forced to. It's called required minimum distribution. So if you would like to keep it there and let it continue to grow, you can't. You've got to take money out every year. So it's going to be diminished every single year by 70 and a half. Because the government says, well, we've let you do that long enough. You know, you're 70 and a half now, we want our money. You can't keep it in there any longer. Start giving us some taxes. That's the government's rule. And there's no planned completion. What I mean by that is, if you live, okay, just follow me for a second. If you live to be 65, right, and most of us will, okay, and you never have an emergency in your life, ever, that requires money. But let's say you never have one, okay? Or you never have an opportunity that you need money for. And you never, they don't change the age on you, right? And they don't make you take it out earlier. And they don't up the taxes, then this plan will work. But what if they up taxes? What if they change the age? What if you have an emergency? What if you have an opportunity? You have no control. There is no plan completion. The only way you can do this is if you live to a ripe old age and never need the money ever. That's pretty much what they're saying. Now in America, what's the likelihood of you having an emergency before you're 60? Pretty good. Someone gets in a house fire, one of your kids is sick, there's a medical bill, there's a car wreck. I mean, you have emergencies? For sure, right? How about opportunities? Are there opportunities here for you to get into business or buy a home or get some land or something like that? Yeah, but you can't touch the money here. Tax never. This is what everybody says, why'd you just skip the tax never? I wish I could. Now listen, all of these things that we're showing you, they're all important and they're all useful in their own way. Okay? So don't look at them and say, oh, everything's bad. No, some things are good. If you want to, for example, if you want to save for a house and you want 6 months of savings and you need to use it 6 months from now, well, then a mutual fund's a great way to do it. If you have a job and they're matching you, you're getting 100% rate of return, you're getting free money, right? So there's things like that. But a Roth IRA, okay, a Roth IRA, an IRC 7702, and let's just break it down and talk about the positives of the Roth first. Positives of the Roth: tax-deferred growth, tax-free withdrawal. You pay taxes on the seed, not the crop, and it's got some safety. Well, James, you say, why is a Roth safe? Because it's invested, it could lose money. Yes, but here's the deal. In a 401k, for example, you only have the options that the company gives you, the 10 or 12 options to invest in. If you used an IRA, a Roth IRA, you can move that money anywhere you want. You could go put it in a savings account and get 0 interest, but you don't lose anything either. So you have complete control because you've got some choices. So you've got some perceived safety there. You can move it around. When you work for a company, you can't move your 401k. It's stuck there. So if all the choices they have in the portfolio are going down, guess what? You're going down too. Anybody lose money in 2008 in their 401k? Lots of people, right? Nobody wanted to raise their hand in here because everybody was smart. But Ed, thank you for raising your hand. Hope you didn't lose too much, Ed. Right? The negatives. Well, you can only have, or you can only put $6,000 a year. Well, what if I want to save more? Well, you can't. This is what you can put in there. You can only have one. The first time I ever saw this, by the way, was $2,500. I was 30 years old. It was $2,500. I said, well, I can save 5,000, so I'll just get 2. Well, they laughed at me. She said, you can't get 2, you can only get 1. I'm like, why not? I'll just take 2 of them. She's like, no, the government doesn't allow you to have 2. All you can put in is 1, totaling $2,500, right? Now it's 6,000, but inflation. There are income limits. If you make over a certain amount of money, do you know what that is, Emilio? You put it on it? Okay, if you make over 122,000 single or 193,000 married, you cannot invest in a Roth IRA. So that means you cannot have tax-free money if you make too much. Something wrong, you know? Our government's saying, hey, if you make a lot of money, we're not going to let you invest anything and get free taxes for it. We're going to make you pay taxes. Right? So you can get mad at the government or you can understand the rules, okay? And then everything applied basically below the seed line applies to a Roth IRA except for the 70.5. There's penalties, there's really no liquidity, no plan completion. So here's what I want to talk to you about it. The product I want to show you tonight is that IRC 7702. Now listen, I can show you anything in this board. I'm fully licensed to help you with anything in this board. And I have clients that have these, and these. I said these a lot. But I only have, another 15 minutes. So if I was going to show somebody a concept that I think could change their life, it's not a savings account. Okay, a savings account hasn't changed anyone's life up to this point, unless it has. If it's changed your life, let me know, right? But I don't think it has. So I'm going to share with you a concept about how this has revolutionized the way I save money, the way that I grow wealth, okay? And a lot of companies have these. Nationwide, Voya, Pacific Life, Prudential, Allianz, Jackson, what's that? Somebody else say something? Okay, a lot of companies have these. A lot of companies have them, okay? So, an IRC 7702 grows tax deferred. It's tax free when you pull the money out. You got to pay tax on the seed, not the crop, which is good. It's safe because it gives you a guaranteed floor. It gives you a guarantee where you can't lose anything. Like for example, Pacific Life gives you a 0 floor. You can't lose anything. So if the market goes down, the worst case you're going to get is a 0. Just like a savings account almost, right? It's exempt to any liens, lawsuits, creditors, malpractice, bankruptcies, student aid, judgments, things like that. So it's exempt to those things. Why? Because it has a little bit of life insurance tied to it. I'm going to explain that to you here in a second. So you can put more than $6,000. If you can save more than what the vehicle can put in, you can get more than one of these things. There's no income limits, and really you don't have to be 70 and a half. There's no 59 and a half. There's no penalties. Borrowing's pretty simple. I use Pacific Life again just for an easy example. In the first 7 years, if you have this account, if you want to borrow money from that account, they charge you 0.25%, 0.25, to borrow money from yourself. Now, after the 7-year mark, there is zero borrowing charge. What's called a wash loan. They'll let you borrow your own money for free. You don't have to pay anything for it, which is pretty cool, right? It's pretty awesome. There's no 70 and a half. You can leave it there as long as you want. And that's total plan completion, because if you were to pass away, right, all of the money inside of that account plus a life insurance benefit goes to your heir, totally tax-free, 100% tax-free to your beneficiary. It's an amazing vehicle, and they've been around for decades. Decades. Most people don't even know they exist, because most people get their financial advice from the person who sits next to them at work. And I always tell people, what does the person next to you do? Well, that person's a computer programmer. Oh, so they're not a financial planner? No. That person's a mechanic. They're not a financial planner? No. It'd be like if I went to told my wife, I said, hey honey, my side hurts a little bit. I don't really know what's going on. I think it might be my appendix. Can you get a butter knife? And I'm just gonna take it, I'm gonna root around in there, see if I can fix it. Would you do that to yourself? No. How about if your car wasn't working? Would you just open the hood, start ripping stuff out? Some of you might know how to fix cars, but let's assume you don't. Would you start ripping stuff out and doing things? I think I fixed it. No, you take it to somebody who knows what they're doing. That's the same thing here. You've got to work with somebody who knows the rules. Somebody who knows what they're talking about, like a doctor, like a mechanic. So, I'm going to talk to you about this. We call it the Swiss Army knife. Remember a Swiss Army knife when you were a kid? It was really cool, right? What's in a Swiss Army knife? You got a knife, a can opener, bottle opener. We got a toothpick, right? Some tweezers in case you got a splinter. What else? The file, yeah, the nail file for the ladies, right? It was cool. We had all kinds of stuff in the Swiss Army knife. It was a universal tool that could help you with all kinds of stuff, right? So take a look at what this is.
A great example of one of the tools we use to help our clients is Indexed Universal Life Insurance, also known as IUL. Though no one product can meet all the needs of every client, the IUL is a multifaceted tool with the heavy lifting potential to meet many of our clients' needs. It's for this reason we like to think of it as the Swiss Army knife of financial strategies. Here are 4 of its core features. The first feature is life insurance protection, which can enable you to leave a tax-free inheritance to your heirs. Indexed Universal Life Insurance is not a security, and Indexed Universal Life Insurance policies are not an investment in the stock market or in the indexes. Indexed account interest is based in part on indexed performance. Then, you have the prospect of growing your money with zero market risk. Your account value can grow with the market up to a certain level, or cap, which can be as high as 12 to 15%. This allows you to capture the upside potential of the market and apply the Rule of 72 concept to your money. However, unlike many other financial vehicles which expose your money to the market's downside, the zero market risk feature of the IUL, called a floor, shields you from all market losses. Let's see what it might look like to have the market's upside potential working for you, while the floor protects your money from its downside. Here's a hypothetical scenario in which the market continues up 10% one year and down 10% the next for 10 years. Without a floor, and due to the impact of losses, your account would experience a slow but steady decline, making it impossible to grow your money. But with the IUL's floor in place, you're protected against the impact of market losses, and your ability to take advantage of the market's gains allows you to lock in growth over time. What a difference the zero market risk of the IUL can make. With a floor in place and the market's upside locked in, you now have the opportunity to grow your money and create your own income stream for retirement. Since an IUL is funded with after-tax money, Like the smart farmer who paid taxes on the seeds, you're able to enjoy your harvest tax-free. Together, you have 3 strategies in place to help you escape market risk, grow your money, create a tax-free income stream in retirement, and leave a significant legacy for your heirs. So what could derail the future you've worked so hard to create and protect? This is where the 4th benefit comes in. The IUL doesn't only benefit your family when you're not around, it can protect them from the emotional and financial burdens of long-term care. Doesn't it seem like almost everyone has experienced the emotional and financial devastation of a long-term care situation? The statistics back this up. 7 out of 10 Americans will need long-term care. Sadly, only 22% have planned for it. That's unfortunate because long-term care can be very expensive. The average annual cost of nursing home care could reach $226,000 in long-term care expenses. That's more than the median cost of a house. Think about this. How would your income, finances, and lifestyle you worked so hard for be affected if you unexpectedly had to pay off your mortgage in 2.5 years? The extra cost of the long-term care feature of an IUL can help protect against this kind of threat. With such a wide range of benefits working together to help you build your financial future, the Swiss Army knife of financial strategies is a fitting term. And this is just one of the powerful financial tools we use to fulfill our mission to educate our clients and help them build the future of their dreams.
All right, so I think this is like a secret weapon of financial planning, right? And if you don't have one, you've got to really take a look at this. This is a serious vehicle that people who are wealthy, people who are planning for the future, they have these inside of their accounts. I was speaking to somebody the other day. Any of you guys like football at all? Like, you know who John Harbaugh is? John Harbaugh, he's the coach of the Michigan Wolverines. He just got paid a couple years ago in one of these things. They had him get paid in an IUL. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And they're big time companies like GE. I'm going to show you something from GE, how they pay their executives. There's some really cool stuff here. So this is basically, stay with me, you're going to see a lot of numbers. This is a basic illustration. This is saying, you know what, let's take a male who's 35 years old, saving $500 a month. You see here $6,000 a year, okay? Now you see here at the top right, I'm showing a 7.4% interest. I'm not showing anything crazy. I'm not showing a 10 or 12 or 15, just 7.4. Very reasonable, okay? Very reasonable. So, $250,000 of death benefit, meaning if someone passed away, they have $250,000 goes to your family. At age 65, right, that client is stopping putting money into their savings because they're retired. So they put in, at age 65, $186,000 of their own money. Well, the account grew to, at 7.4, it grew to $590,000, right? If someone died at 65 years old, guess what? Their family's going to get $840,000 tax-free. But let's say they didn't die, they lived, and they started drawing income. This is roughly $4,000 a month, it's a little less, and they did that basically for 20 years. They pulled out $926,000 of income. They only put in $186,000. And by the way, when they passed away at 85, they had $185,000 plus their death benefit, so their family got $435,000. So you combine those two things, $926,000 and $435,000, it's roughly about $1.3 million that you got to use for your $186,000. That's a tremendous financial tool. Tremendous. Here's a lady putting in about $600, and she said, I want to retire early. She's 27. Hey, I want to retire at 55. Remember, we learned earlier, you can't retire at 55 if you're using a traditional vehicle because you got penalties. But here you can. So what does it look like? So if you take a look, here she is, right, putting money in, and I'm going to just draw some conclusions for you. At age 55, she put in, all the way up to that point, put in $168,000, okay? Come on now. Her total charges, because I always hear from people, well, James, this is life insurance and this costs me money, right? I don't need life insurance.
I'd rather just buy term and invest the difference. Well, that's fine, but then you're gonna owe taxes. So it's a simple mathematical equation for me. It's either I pay taxes or I pay life insurance costs. And for me, it's very easy. Which one is more? If taxes are more than life insurance, then I'm gonna pay the life insurance. Right? If life insurance is more than taxes, okay, well then I'll just pay the taxes. But in this case, look what this lady paid. She paid $103,000 in fees. 103, okay? Here's what's crazy. She got to pull out $38,000 a year from when she was 55 years old till she was 85. Let's do the math on that. $38,000 a year for 31 years, that's $1.2 million. What if we had to pay taxes on that money? Let's assume we did not save it inside of an IUL. Let's assume we saved it somewhere else. If we had to pay taxes on it, let's say a 35% tax bracket, we just paid 420 grand in taxes. I told you that it's only 103 for the fee. So I just actually saved myself, right, $300,000 plus, don't forget, I have a life insurance benefit, right? It's not that I just paid taxes and I got nothing. I paid a fee and I still got $250. So when I die, somebody's gonna get $250,000. And I got to keep the other 300. So if you take a look at that, it's the life insurance benefit plus what I saved here. So there's the math. I saved $317 and I gave $250,000 to my family. And oh, by the way, I pulled out $1.2 million. This vehicle is unbelievable if you use it properly. But some of you guys don't even know it exists. Because you're not going anywhere and they've been around, like I said, for decades, right? So let's take a look at this. Here are some actual rates of return from client statements, okay? And again, I whited out everybody's names, but you can see. This person right here earned 11.5%. I'm showing 7.4, remember? This person earned 13.1. Again, showing 7.4. 11.5. Here's one with Voya. Voya, their average rate of return over a 20-year period was 12.2%. And again, I'm showing 7.4. Here's an interesting one. I blocked out this guy's stuff. This client loves me. In Pacific Life, they have buckets. Okay, that you can put money in mirroring a market for 1 year, mirroring a market for 2 years, or mirroring a market for 5 years. Well, this just happened. We put it in 2010. See, 2010. And I said to him, I think the market's going to go up for the next couple of years. He said, let's put all of our money in the 5-year bucket. I said, okay, no problem. Take a look at what he earned in the 5-year bucket. He earned 78.9%. That's a real client. I'm not making that up. And he has 0 market risk. These people love me. I go to their house, they say, you want something to eat? You want to sit down? You want to hang out, right? This is how powerful this vehicle is. You have, on a 5-year window of the market with Pac Life, there is no cap. Whatever the market does, you get. The market over that 5 years did 78.9%. So that family got to add that to their savings. Pretty powerful. Here's Fox Business News. It says, hey, legally cutting out the tax man in retirement. Life insurance industry is the best IRS-approved retirement savings vehicle on the planet. It's not a 401k, and it's not a Roth. It's Indexed Universal Life, right there. #1 secret. That's from Fox Business. If you're not a Republican and you're a Democrat, well, think advisors, right? That's a CNN type of business. It says cash value life insurance makes Jim Harbaugh football's top paid coach. How is that possible? Well, they use Indexed Universal Life to pay Harbaugh's salary right there. Cash value life insurance. It's unbelievable. Here is, I'm going to go real quick on this. This is GE, General Electric. This is a proxy statement. Is anybody familiar with a proxy statement, what that means? Does anybody know what that means? Okay, I'm going to tell you. So in a publicly traded company like GE or Apple or Microsoft, if it's publicly traded, you must know what the advisor or what the board of directors, like the CEO, COO, the CFO, what they're getting paid, how they're getting paid, and where they're investing their money. Because if it's publicly traded, that's knowledge you need to be able to invest in that company and say, well, I don't think that they're very stable, so I'm not going to invest. Or, wow, they look pretty stable, I'm going to invest. So they put these statements out every year. This is 2017's proxy statement from GE. Take a look at what GE's executives, their CEO, right, all the way down, look what they put in their retirement vehicles. This is their 401k. Why did they all put the same amount? Because that's all the company matched. Some of the richest people in the world, and they didn't put any more than the company matched. However, look at what they got in life insurance premiums right here, Index Universal Life. This person put $500,000 almost, $445,000 into Index Universal Life. Do you think they know something that we don't know? Yeah, you better believe it. These aren't dumb people, right? They're running General Electric. They're smart enough to do something with that money. So again, you may not be able to put $445,000. If you can, just come see me afterwards, okay? But if you probably you can't, but you might be able to put $445 in there. The principle is the same. You need to be using the principle, right? Yes, they're going to have a heck of a lot more money than you, right? But there's a Chinese proverb that says, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, right? But when's the second best time? Right now. Right now. I bought 3 acres in McKinney 6 years ago, and it doesn't have any trees on it. And I said to myself when we first bought it, I'm gonna put tons of trees on this lot. And all of a sudden life got busy, right? And now we don't have any trees. So then I'm gonna go plant some trees this spring. My wife says, why are you planting trees? We're gonna probably move in a couple years anyway. I said, that's what we said 5 years ago. We need to plant some trees, right? So we're getting some trees planted. That's my point, right? Any questions on that? Okay. This is the market, and you know, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and if I said, hey honey, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take a crayon and you tell me what's gonna come next. Up, down, up, down, up. She'd go, that's easy, Daddy. It's gonna go down, right? If my 8-year-old daughter can tell me that that's gonna happen, that's probably gonna happen. Now again, I don't know that for sure. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know exactly where the market's gonna go. However, I do know this. I do know that we've been on an upward climb for about, going on 10 years. So something's gotta go in the other direction. And if any of your money is in vehicles that don't have protection, you're gonna experience a downturn. But you should have some vehicles that have a floor, right? So when the market goes down, you don't lose any money. It's part of being diversified. It's just the way that smart people do it. So in closing, I appreciate your time. I try to get done as fast as I could. I know everybody's got things to do tonight, places to go. But I will just tell you, I feel that vehicle is an unbelievable vehicle to use. I personally own 9 of those things from companies like I mentioned, Pacific Life, Voya, Transamerica, Nationwide. I have all those vehicles, right? And I use them because it's the most cost effective, it's the most tax prohibitive, it's an unbelievable vehicle. And I wouldn't be a good steward if I didn't use them myself and I told somebody else to do it. I have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in those vehicles, right? And I'll just close with this. I'm not a big poet, but I read the book Think and Grow Rich. You ever read the book Think and Grow Rich? Has anyone ever read it before? Raise your hand if you read it. Okay, if you've never read it, have you read it? Awesome. If you've never read it, I would encourage you to read Think and Grow Rich. It doesn't mean so much rich as in rich is like money. It just means think and grow rich in your life, rich in your relationships, rich in your health, rich in everything that you want, right? And there's a poem in there, it's called The Penny. It says, I bargained with life for a penny. The life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer and gives you what you ask. But once you ask the wages, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that whatever price I would have asked of life, life would have gladly paid. I submit to you that whatever price you ask of this life, it will pay you. We live in an unbelievable country with an unbelievable opportunity and unbelievable people. The strength of what we're doing right here starts with us in these seats. And if we can become financially independent, we can teach our kids, we can teach our neighbors, we can teach our friends, and we can turn around this financial problem we have in America today. And I want it to emanate from right here, the epicenter to be, central, northern Texas, and go out from there. That's our goal, that's our mission. We're grateful for you. Thank you for inviting me, G. I appreciate it, and so thank you so much.